Well, I had the opportunity to meet the Director General here on Saturday. Obviously, before the conference, the 40th session gets going, so we had a very good engagement. He was very interested in Ireland's Origin Green programme, which is our system of food production, farming, safe, sustainable and secure production, I suppose, to reflect on Ireland's history. And the reason that we're so much involved and engaged with FAO, and a member since its foundation in 1946, 150 years ago in the mid-1800s, we had a famine. We had 8 million people. By the end of that century, we had 4. 2 million died, 2 million emigrated, so it's pretty dramatic. And at the turn of the century, of the 20th century, we were down to just over 2.5 million people. We're now probably closer to 5. We export we produce 11 billion euros worth of agri-food every year. We export all around the planet. So we've developed from famine on ourselves to being one of the biggest exporting countries in the world from the point of view of our production. To do that, we have to make sure the reputation that we have for food production is solid, and Origin Green is certainly something which we highlight as a safe, sustainable and secure method of principles on which food is produced. We believe that with working with FAO and other agencies, we can demonstrate and empower and enable developing countries to actually adopt that system of farming and food production, which is going to be very important anyway in terms of global climate change, but all the more relevant in countries that are developing, so that they can actually produce food for themselves initially and as an economic driver maybe for their village or their community or maybe their country. And I think that that's really important. The other areas that we touched on, which are related, I suppose, is plant health and the importance of plant health and animal health indeed, but plant health in particular. Because without protecting and focusing on ensuring that we can produce the plants, without the plants, and we have, water becomes an issue in many areas. Without that managed and looked after, a lot of other problems will occur. The other area was antimicrobial resistance, which is the misuse and overuse of antibiotics, which down the line actually have a knock-on effect right into from the food chain and into the humans. And antibiotics have been a wonderful way of treating all sorts of ailments and illnesses. And if it ever comes to the stage that develops, that we develop resistance to it, and if it were that it came from the management of animals, it would be unforgivable. And I think the Director General was really very committed to developing an awareness of the risks of AMR and how to deal with it. And finally, I suppose, our food marketing board BIA, have a programme for Origin Green ambassadors. There was one lady here before, and she spent a 6-month placement with FAO, and the Director General and we ourselves are very keen that there would be another Origin Green ambassador put in place fairly soon, so that the whole principles of Origin Green food production become part of the norm of the programmes then that the FAO are funding and supporting all around the place, all around particularly the likes of sub-Saharan Africa. If a space probe lands on a planet, the first thing they ask is is there water? Why? Because without water you don't have life. Our first plants, the New Zealand silver fern, or the New Zealand water fern rather, moved from water to the land and grew. We have to feed people without being able to feed people, so that's why animal and plant health are so important. We are going to have 8 billion people on the planet in the next 30 or 40 years. The planet's not going to get any bigger. We have to arrest and reverse desertification of the land, soils around the globe, but we have to do so sustainably, because we eat to live, And if we can't eat, we can't live, you know. And I think it's something that's back to basics. It's simple. Being warm or being cool, whichever country you're in, and being fed are so important, and health and everything else, obviously. But that's the basic reason. So food production is part of what the planet, for human beings in particular, need. We have to have it, and we have to do so sustainably. So I think that's going to be the language of future food production systems. It'll be sustainability.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
No, I'm looking forward to the opportunity to engage in this 40th session to outline Ireland's efforts with regard to climate change and food production, and how they morph into the one effort, and also to hopefully meeting the Finnish, I think, delegation with regard to the putting plant health as into the fore, and hopefully get it on as the year 2020 as the UN year of plant health. So looking forward to all of that.